By the time the elders summoned him, Kofi already knew the storm had arrived. In the center of Abenes village, beneath the ancient baobab tree, silence hung thick like harmattan dust. No drums. No whispers. Only waiting eyes. The elders sat in a half-circle, their faces carved from years of wisdom and disappointment. And there stood Kofi, the man who once believed nothing could bend him. His shoulders were heavy, but it was not fear that weighed him down. It was recognition. Because deep inside, he understood a truth far more frightening than accusation: he had not been defeated by weakness, but by certainty. Listen carefully, because this is not just a story about Kofi. It is a story about how temptation chooses its victims. Long before that silent gathering, Abenes was a village that breathed with the rhythm of the land. Mornings arrived with the scent of charcoal fires and boiling porridge, while evenings softened beneath golden skies and distant laughter. Everyone knew everyone, and everyone knew Kofi. He was not the richest man, nor the strongest, but he was admired in a way that made people speak his name with quiet respect. While other young men chased pleasure and distractions, Kofi walked a path as straight as a hunter's spear. He walked when others rested. He listened when others argued. He restrained himself when others indulged. The elders praised him, often saying he possessed the discipline of an old soul. Mothers pointed him out to their daughters. Fathers used him as an example for their sons. Slowly, admiration became reputation, and reputation, like palm wine left too long, began to ferment into pride. Then came the dry season when strangers arrived. Traders from distant towns, travelers seeking shelter, unfamiliar voices drifting through the marketplace. And among them was Adwoa. Adwoa did not enter Abenes loudly. She did not demand attention or seek admiration. Yet when she walked, something shifted in the air. Conversations paused without reason. Laughter stumbled mid-sentence. Her beauty was not the kind that dazzled, it unsettled. Calm. Effortless. Dangerous in its quietness. Her skin carried the warmth of polished bronze beneath the sun, and her eyes seemed to observe more than they revealed. The young men noticed immediately. The women noticed even faster. But Kofi barely looked. Or rather, he convinced himself he did not. Temptation, however, is patient. It studies before it strikes. Adwoa noticed Kofi's distance. While others circled her with eager smiles, Kofi remained polite, controlled, unreachable. And that intrigued her. One afternoon, under a sky bleached pale by the sun, Kofi walked to the village well. The air shimmered. Dust clung to his sandals. And there she stood. Alone. Waiting. She asked him a simple question, her voice soft as silk. Why did he avoid her? Kofi answered calmly that he avoided nothing. Yet something betrayed him, the tightening of his hands, the unfamiliar quickening of his heartbeat. That was how it began. Not with desire, but with awareness. Days passed. Then weeks. And slowly, Kofi began noticing what he once ignored. The gentle rise of Adwoa's laughter near the market stalls. The way sunlight followed her at dusk. The strange persistence of her presence in his thoughts. At first, he dismissed it. Then he explained it away. Then he began thinking about it when he should have been working. And thoughts, elders say, are where temptation quietly builds its home. Soon, the disciplined man found himself restless. Work no longer silenced his mind. Sleep no longer brought peace. Adwoa had become an uninvited guest inside his thoughts, and what made this battle truly dangerous was that Kofi still believed he was winning. Their meetings became frequent. Accidental at first. Then intentional. Conversations grew longer. Silences grew heavier. Words became charged with meanings neither of them spoke aloud. One evening, beneath a sky burning with sunset, Adwoa told Kofi something that unsettled him more than her beauty ever had. She said he was a man who believed he could not be moved. Kofi, with the confidence that had followed him his entire life, replied that no one was beyond control. Adwoa smiled. But it was not a smile of amusement. It was the smile of someone who already knew the ending of a story. That night, Kofi lay awake. The wind whispered against his window. Moonlight stretched across the floor like silent judgment. And inside him, something shifted. Temptation does not rush. It waits for exhaustion. For cracks. For the moment confidence grows tired. Then came the choice. Quiet. Irreversible. Made beneath a restless moon that seemed to watch without mercy. But villages have ears even in darkness. Whispers began. Soft at first, like distant thunder. Then sharper. Curiosity turned into murmurs. Murmurs into certainty. The respected man became the center of quiet conversations. When the elders finally summoned Kofi, denial would have been easier. Excuses would have been safer. But truth has a way of demanding its own voice. Standing beneath the baobab tree, Kofi spoke with a quietness that stunned the village. He said he had feared poverty, failure, and hardship, yet he had never feared desire. Silence swallowed Abenes because every soul present recognized the weight of those words. Then something happened that no one expected. Adwoa disappeared. No farewell. No footprints. No trace. The villagers searched the paths, questioned nearby settlements, but nothing. It was as if she had dissolved into the wind itself. That was when the oldest elder, his voice trembling with ancient understanding, revealed what chilled even the bravest hearts. Adwoa, he said, was not an ordinary woman. She was a spirit of testing. In every generation, he explained, the unseen world watches for the one who believes they cannot fall. Not the weakest. Not the foolish. But the proud. The villagers turned toward Kofi, but Kofi already understood. The terrifying clarity settled slowly, like nightfall. Adwoa had not chosen him because he lacked discipline. She had chosen him because he believed his discipline made him untouchable. From that day forward, Kofi changed. Not into a broken man, but into a quieter one. His confidence softened into humility. His judgments faded into understanding. When young men boasted of resisting temptation, Kofi would simply smile. When villagers spoke with dangerous certainty about their own strength, he would shake his head gently. And when asked what life had taught him, Kofi would say something the village would remember long after his voice was gone. The most dangerous temptation is the one you believe you have already conquered. Years passed. Seasons turned. And elders would later tell children by firelight that temptation does not hunt the weak. It hunts the confident. Strength, they would say, is not proven by pride, but by humility. Because desire is patient. And patience is the sharpest weapon of all.